Hey everybody, it is 1 o'clock on Wednesday and it is April 1st. I am doing no April Fool's jokes. I think there's enough going on without that. Today we're going to read chapter 4 from Guardians of Magic, the Lyra Chronicles, book 8. And if it turns out to be a short one, we'll go to chapter 5. And welcome to today's adult story time. The YouTube channel has each day's chapter, usually not too fast afterwards. Thank you, Grace, for doing that. And today is great weather here. It's in the 70s, couldn't be more perfect. Need to take the dogs on a long walk because it's going to rain for days after this, which is great news for Austin, Texas, where I am, because the heat is coming. There's Lois, she's about to bark. And there she went. And the rain will stop at some point for us, as it always does. So it's always good when it does rain. It's amazing how I start this, and that's when she decides barking would be a good idea. You can see her tail going by behind me. Hi, Diane. So we're going to do chapter 4 from the Lyra Chronicles, and some of you also commented on, I held up one of the headbands I was making for nurses. A lot of us in our neighborhood are, and my neighbor made a video on how to make them. So if you want to make them for nurses in your neighborhood, I'm going to post that on my Facebook page, author page, and in the groups so you can find it. It's pretty simple. If you can maneuver a sewing machine at all, you can probably figure it out. But for now, let's start chapter 4, Guardians of Magic, Lyra Chronicles, book 8, and it is Wednesday, April 1st, just in case anybody needed to know that, and it's just after 1 o'clock Central Time. Chapter 4. Lyra stood outside the Arab Coffee on 24th Street, waiting for Court to catch up with her. What was that about? She called to him as she watched the morning sky lighten against his slate gray sky. Love a good Texas morning. Cork ran the short distance across the street, crowded on all sides by clusters of students from University of Texas, streaming back and forth across the nearby campus. A witch had her phone snatched. I managed to retrieve it for her. A young woman smiled up at Cork and gave him a long look from head to toe as she passed by. Lyra gave Cork a crooked smile. Sometimes I forget about that elven charm, and then that happens. Not always elven charm. That was a young light elf. Sometimes they just like me. Lyra elbowed Cork as she started to walk faster down the street. Sure, big guy, it's all you. Hey, I thought we were going in that shop back there. That hookah shop? Not hardly. That's not where the magical mystery tours start in these parts. Way too on the nose. The general population would know if too many average-looking middle-aged people kept going in and out. Probably think it was a drug stop. I would have in my old job. Then where are we going where no one would notice? There. Lyra pointed to the Starbucks still a block away. Our way to get to Chicago, and this time without the long drive. That coffee shop is like the magical community's version of a bus stop. Finally, an answer to why we needed a Starbucks every few blocks. I have it on good authority the whole thing is owned by a wizarding family. Apparently, Seattle is a hub for that kind of thing. I'm surprised I didn't know more about this. I know everything about the kimonos and the cities. Lyra looked both ways and didn't see a car coming as she scooted across against the light with Cork in tow behind her. Lacey said the transit system is hush-hush. Those are her exact words. It's more vulnerable to sabotage and too many dark players are out there. The whole thing is covered in spells and there are absolutely no humans allowed. They can't even touch anything without going poof. Lyra threw her hands up in the air as they got to the door of the Starbucks. Poof, you know, we could make all this simpler and take a portal. I've learned a few new things from Turner's books. No portals on Earth, it's too risky, especially when there's something cool that will get us there in just about the same amount of time without the threat of eternally hanging in jello. Ooh, I'm getting coffee before we head out. Get me that lemon cake and a grand cappuccino with a half shot of caramel and soy milk. Lyra turned around and gave him a pained look. How do you even know all of that? I'm getting you black coffee and you can add cream if you want. Okay, the lemon cake as well, but only because we're hitting the road. The line moved forward quickly. I thought I'd miss Hagen more, but it's like having his soulmate along with me. I appreciate that the universe saw fit to fill the void. What'll it be? A frazzled young woman looked up as Cork leaned in and said quickly, "A green cappuccino with a half shot of caramel and soy milk and a piece of that lemon cake." Lyra gave them both a dead fish look. "A large black coffee for me. Name?" "Cork. Are you paying for it too?" Lyra pulled out her wallet from her purse and dug around for her credit card. They went and waited with the crowd of students and people on their way to work, easily blending in with the crowd around them. "Check out the beings around us," whispered Cork, leaning toward Lyra. "Your breath smells faintly of burnt Cheetos. You eating your feelings today?" "I ate the last of my supply looking through one of those spell books. Accidentally started a small fire in Turner's trash can. Minor issue. Nothing important was harmed. Take a better look around." He gave Lyra a nudge as she let the smallest amount of magic flow through her and saw the energy light up, dotting the crowd all around her. It was an even mix. A wood elf right next to her sensed Lyra's energy and gave her a wink. "How you doing?" Lyra frowned and shook her head, but before she could answer, a young man in a green apron came and set 2 cups down with a slice of cake wrapped in wax paper. "Cor Ick, your order's up." Lyra slid through the crowd, stepping in front of a large woman with a feather boa around her neck and a backpack. There's a jogger outside. How dare you? Lyra slid through the crowd, stepping in front of a large woman with a feather boa around her neck and a backpack full of books. Lyra saw the tip of a pecan wood wand poking out between her books. Here she comes. "Cor Ick?" asked the young man. "Cool name. Sounds like a band." Lyra pressed her lips together and grabbed the coffee, handing Cork's cup back to him with the cake balanced on top of the lid. "Thanks," she said, taking Cork by the arm and leading him toward the restrooms. "Please tell me the entrance isn't in the bathroom. We're not getting flushed down something. If you say yes, I'm opening a portal and leaving without you." Cork slipped the wrapped cake in his pocket and sipped the hot cappuccino as he looked around for another door. "I can see we dipped into the Harry Potter of it all somewhere in your past. This isn't a fairy tale and no one gets flushed. If you'd relax, you'd see where we're going." Lyra took a deep breath as the cement block wall at the end of the narrow hall became wavy lines, and a woman standing by the ladies' room door looked right through them, no longer able to see them as a spritz of chocolate filled the air. Lyra pulled Cork toward the wall just beyond the bathrooms and kept walking without pausing, heading right into the wall. Cork suddenly got a strong whiff of chocolate as they slipped through to the other side. Not at all what I expected the bathrooms to smell like. Not bad. Lyra rolled her eyes as she pulled him through. There's a glamour there that keeps out the humans. Feels like a solid wall to them. It even puts out a mist that erases what they see or hear by the bathrooms, so no one's ever seen vanishing into thin air. Probably for the best by a bathroom where everyone's drinking coffee. That smell of chocolate. Cork looked around at the cavernous opening, and the commuters hustling to get to different parts of the globe. Different elves, witches, and gnomes rushed past him, clutching children's hands or briefcases or shopping bags, as they climbed stairs to even higher tracks, or descended down a maze of stairs into the depths below. In the distance were another set of stairs heading in every direction with lines of commuters heading up the stairs to a different Starbucks just a few blocks away, always near a train or bus line. Lyra took a sidelong glance at Cork, giving him a crooked smile. "You know, for once it's kind of nice to see you in awe at anything magical. I didn't even know that was possible. You're having a time with magic this week, aren't you? Blowing things up, setting things on fire, and finding out there was still a lot left to learn." Cork's head was tilted back, and he was looking up at the artificial blue sky and clouds passing overhead, giving everything a much cheerier facade. "Reminds me of the post office back home." He turned around and was startled to see a stand selling newspapers, magazines, and candy in an alcove where the Starbucks had been on the other side. "Yeah, I don't get the whole time and space thing with that one either," said Lyra. "I've just decided to let some of this go for now. Maybe one of Turner's books will explain it to you. Come on, these steps take a while, and you're in the way." Lyra pulled Cork toward the staircase as more commuters continued to come in and stream around them, some of them giving Lyra a dirty look or a loud tss as they hurried on to their destination. They fell in line behind a tall, lanky wizard who was wearing pants that left his ankles bare and a jacket that ended just before his wrists. They went down 2 twisting flights as the wizard made a left turn and headed off in another direction, and they found themselves behind a small gnome woman wearing purple Crocs and jeans, carrying a large H-E-B shopping bag, muttering to herself the entire way. "If I don't get home by lunchtime, I won't get the roast in the oven on time. If that doesn't happen, dinner won't start on time, and then the presentation will have to wait. Oh, bother. Maybe if I take the number 2 line, I'll get home a little faster. But then I'll have to walk a few extra blocks. Of course, I could just use a teensy amount of magic and move the roast along a little faster. Who would know? What's the harm? The small gnome realized she was talking too loud about using magic and looked up suspiciously to see who was around her, smiling at Korik even as she continued to nimbly descend the stairs. They all got to a juncture with a sign pointing to the right that had a large red 2 on it, and another pointing to the left with a blue B on it. The gnome hesitated, but only for a moment before rushing off to the right. Lyric took Korik by the hand and pulled him further down the stairs. How do you know your way so well? He looked over the edge at the open space on every side of the stairs. What is holding up everything? Everywhere he looked were different staircases and walkways humming with activity, but no signs of a berm or a wall or even a beam stretching into the darkness. Full of questions. Lacey Trader gave me a map. Those other routes are headed to other places, Lyra said over her shoulder. Some of them cross oceans and go under mountains. Lyra was easily taking the stairs, keeping in time with the other fast-moving commuters. All of it was created the last time the gates were open and kept hidden all this time. Look, there's where we're headed. At the bottom was a string of rail cars, all polished and shiny with the number 58 painted in gold on the side, shimmering and vibrating. They took the remaining steps down as Lyra hurried toward the rail car and grabbed the last seat, holding a place for Korik. Commuters crowded in until even the aisles were packed. Do you mind? A short, round, older gnome with a brushy brown mustache rested his briefcase by Korik's feet and pulled out his hat and gloves, putting them on. Might as well get ready, he said, smiling. Korik leaned toward Lyra. Tell me again why we needed to meet with Lacey in person and a phone call wouldn't do? I would have preferred that too. Mom's bridal shower is tomorrow and there's a few things left to do. But Lacey Trader thinks there may be traitors among the ranks. She's not sure, but she wonders if someone is feeding the old families bits of information. Everyone is related to everyone else somehow anyway. The old families have filtered into a lot of places over the years. Like the phones, I take it. Or worse. And would it be that hard to use a little magic to listen in when you wanted to? Lacey has made it a new policy that she won't say anything outside of the walls of the Silver Griffin's headquarters, where the spells can ward off eavesdroppers. Lyra leaned forward to get a better look at the gnome whose face was level with Korik's. The gnome gave Lyra a nod and held onto the pole as the train gave off a loud thrust of steam and started moving forward, pressing Lyra back against the seat. Everyone in the aisles braced themselves and leaned against the poles or the seats, familiar with the lurch. All of it was a routine part of their day. How the rail cars work is another mystery to me, since there's no engine as far as I can tell. Lyra looked out the windows on the side at the landscape passing by in a blur. This entire rail car is an artifact, I imagine, or running off a crystal from a nearby kamana, or both. Korik leaned as far as he could toward Lyra, turning away from the gnome. You think anyone knows you're the new fixer? Whispered Lyra. It's like you're a celebrity in these parts. No, I don't, and today's not the day to tell them. Let me figure out how to do 1/10 of the spells in those books without leaving burn marks, and then I can hand out business cards. Very old school of you. Pretty sure the native population does that over their phones now. You think they get reception down here? The rail car started to slow as everyone leaned forward and steam surrounded the car. That was no time at all. Not sure I like it as much. No reason to bring along snacks. Korik waited for some of the passengers in the aisle to move out before he stood up. Lyra followed him out, easily falling in line again with the commuters. Granted, not much of a road trip. Come on, we have another hike up the stairs. The lines of commuters heading up the stairs moved along at a steady pace as an elf waved to a friend heading down the stairs, a delighted smile on her face. Carrie, hi, what are the odds? She shouted. Carrie looked up and waved a mittened hand back, even as she continued down the stairs. Beings peeled off at different levels, heading to catch a different rail car or to come up at a different Starbucks as Lyra and Korik continued to climb. Close to the top, Lyra watched a wizard in a puffy jacket deftly reach into the back pocket of a balding wizard in a green coat right in front of him, sliding out a wallet with 2 fingers. Lyra shoved the witch in front of her gently to the side and pushed her way to the wizard, tightly grabbing him by the elbow. Korik wound his way up just behind her. Feels good to grab a petty thief for once. She squeezed his arm hard enough to get a squeal as he dropped the wallet. Hey, that's mine! The balding wizard reached down to retrieve his wallet as the entire snaking line came to a halt, and everyone leaned over the sides to get a better look at what was slowing down their ascent. Korik heard the grumbling behind him and turned around to give a cold, hard stare to the offenders, who quickly looked away. This is not going to go like Lyra thinks it will. He looked at the turned faces, but they understand. A short stay and troublesome. You and I are going to become fast friends, said Lyra, keeping her grip on the man's arm. No need, said an older round witch in glasses who appeared by her side, pushing her way through the crowd. I'll take it from here. The witch showed her badge with 2 silver-colored griffins intertwined as the thief's face became ashen. You were warned, Boris. Come on. Stairs just to the right began to light up as the witch made her way with Boris, pulling him out of the crowd. Okay, now I'm not sure I did the right thing. Lyra watched the 2 disappear into the distance as everyone commenced climbing the stairs again. The silver griffins don't brook with any kind of criminal behavior, but they'll be fair. I'm not sure we'd define fair the same way. You're probably right. They've never been known for just giving someone a ticket. Come on, we're at our destination, said Lyra, still looking back. Korik took Lyra by the elbow, steering her away from some grumbling commuters. At the top, they were met by a witch who walked them through a different exit from everyone flowing around them, and Lyra felt the same pull through the darkness as it gradually gave way to the light, and she was back in the same paneled room. Korik watched Lyra step through the passageway before stepping back and making his way through the Starbucks and out to the street, where he saw the witch driving a wilted Boris toward a minivan for transport. The cold spring Chicago wind whipped at his face. No time like the present to try out a spell, he muttered. Lucy tenebras dimitas. Korik's eyes glowed momentarily as he bent his thumb and forefinger into a square. Fog seeped out of the ground, filling the air on one side of the street. The witch looked back, startled to realize she wasn't holding anything anymore, and Boris was nowhere in sight. The witch removed her glasses, wiping off the dampness from the sudden fog, peering into the gray cloud. Well, of all the... Korik led Boris away from the fog, toward the red line stop, pulling him out of the isolated fog. You get what I'm guessing is a 5th or 6th chance, Boris. Don't waste it. Call this number if you want to stay out of trouble and find real work. They'll help you. Korik pressed a card into Boris's palm with the number of a network Turner Underwood created a long time ago to help magical beings. He gave Boris a shove toward the subway stairs. Hurry. Boris hesitated, his mouth open and clutching the card, but he got his wits about him and took off at a run. Korik turned and walked back into the thick fog as it parted to either side for him, and he easily found his way back to the Starbucks. He paused at the back wall, letting himself relax, and watched the wall dissolve and the scent of chocolate fill the air. He walked through and took a sharp left toward the door Lyra went through and opened it, looking into the darkness. I suppose this is what Turner meant. Be the calm. Rule number 1 of being a fixer. He stepped forward, enveloped by the darkness as the door shut behind him. Be the calm. That is chapter 4. Hello, Mike. Hi, Mike. You're here again. Hi, Bill. And hi, Marie. And Mike, I'm glad you figured out how to get the sound on. That helps a lot. And it's fun reading this book again because I've forgotten some of the details myself. And it's also a good reminder since I'm writing new ones. It's very helpful. I hope everybody's having a peaceful day. I think we're sliding towards almost 3 weeks in isolation, or whatever we're calling this. Social distancing, are we still using that phrase? And I think for the most part, people are doing an amazing job. They're finding ways to connect and still see each other, even if it's not in person. My son was here earlier today, and he sat in the backyard. So we got to see each other, and the dogs got to play with him, and we still could practice safe social distancing. So it's not easy, and it takes a lot of thought, but it is possible. I belong to the local YMCA, which I love, and one of the instructors, because they're closed too, she is going to start Zoom Pilates and yoga classes. So I'll be doing that. And we'll just get through it one day at a time, one way or another. Like I said, feel free to write to me. I say it every day, and some of you are, and that's great. And I will write back. It gives me something to do, and it stays connected. Maybe stay away from the news a little bit. It's really not anything new, just kind of more of the same at this point. Not sure that's helpful for now. And take good care of each other. Try and find a little peace and a little joy in the day. And this will be posted up on the YouTube channel in no time because my admin Grace is that good. And tomorrow we will tackle chapter 5, maybe 5 and 6. I'll try and take a look early this time and see if 5's short. And Let me know if you want any changes, or if you want this to go a little longer every day, or, you know, because this can be a group thing, not just a me thing. And for some reason, Lois is lying down quietly behind me, and she has not noticed that a couple of joggers have gone by. But I'm sure she'll be back to talk to you all again soon too. And also, I will try and do a tour of the house. I guess I'll do it on a separate live feed and just walk around with the phone and give you a tour of the house the troll built, so you can see where I am sheltering in place. And take good care of each other. I love you all, and I will talk to you tomorrow.